Okay, so how do you go about harvesting, drying, and curing?
Well, I look at the trichomes when it comes to harvesting. I usually aim for mostly cloudy. I don't really pay too much attention to how much amber there is. I know a lot of people will aim for, 10% amber, 20% amber, 30% amber. They make their decision off of that. I'm looking at mostly cloudy, just trying to see minimal clear trichomes. At that point, I'll cut the plant at the base of the stalk and hang the entire plant. I typically dry in a grow tent. That's been kind of my go-to, is drying in a grow tent. I'll whether it be a 4x4 or a 2x4, depending on the number of plants that I have. I will have an oscillating fan at the bottom of the tent, circulating air around. I'll make sure that oscillating fan isn't pointed up towards the buds, because that dries out the buds a little bit quicker than desired, in my opinion. I live in a very dry climate, so I always have a humidifier to add in humidity. I aim for 60% RH at a 60-degree Fahrenheit temperature. Now, unfortunately, I usually can't get as low as 60-degree Fahrenheit temperature. It's usually about 65 to 68 is what I can usually get it down to. So yeah, ideally it would be 60, but I can't get it to that every time. It usually dries for about 7 to 10 days roughly for me. And then for curing, I have been curing for many, many years in glass mason jars. So, yep. Typical 1 ounce of bud in a 32-ounce jar, wide malt mason jar. Have a little hygrometer in there so I can see what the temperature and RH is. I aim for around 62 in the jar. If it's like 64 or above, I'm taking the buds out of the jar and kind of letting them dry a little bit more before putting it back in there. Doing the typical burping. I mean, I feel like I've talked about this on my channel so much that I don't know how in detailed I want to get here on this podcast episode, but at least daily burping for at least the first few weeks is what I aim for. I recently picked up those Grove bags, which are really a hot product these days.
Yeah.
A lot of people are ditching the mason jars and they're going after the Grove bags. So
yep.
I picked up some of those. Haven't used them that much for curing. And I'm super excited now is I actually picked up one of those Canatrols. So I don't know if you heard about what those ones are. No?
No, what's that?
Oh, man. Dude, it's like, I'm so excited about this. I saw them at MJ BizCon.
Yep.
And basically what it is it's about the size of a mini fridge.
Okay.
But it controls both temperature and humidity.
What?
And it's for drying, curing, and storage. And you can adjust the settings on it. Freaking game changer.
Oh my God.
So literally, I'm so excited to harvest next because I'm not going to have to dry in a grow tent anymore. I'm going to put it in my Canatrol, which holds up to 2.2 pounds, and which is more than enough for me, and put it in there, set it, boop, 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 to what I want for a drying temperature and drying RH. Actually, it goes by dew point, but it shows the humidity there. And then it'll dry for a certain period of time, and then you switch it over to the curing settings or storage settings, and then it's good to go. So huge game changer. I do have a bunch of stuff in there right now for storage, and it's holding steady. It has like a little sponge at the bottom and a little container there. So you basically wet the sponge and then keep it on the bottom rack there, and that helps hold the proper humidity in there. Dude, it's nuts. I'm so pumped to have this.
So your next, like in the future with your harvest, you're not going to be like hang drying full plants. You're going to be cutting it up and then drying inside this little mini fridge style build?
Exactly.
Wow. And the name one more time for us, just for the first time hearing this. What's the name again on that?
Canatrol.
Canatrol.
Yeah.
Canatrol, like a little troll.
Canatrol, yeah, Canatrol. I'm actually I reached out to them to try to get like a discount code for my audience and stuff like that. I don't know if they're going to give me one, but
dude, hook me. I'm going to email them after this, and I'm going to be like, look, I was just talking to Mr. Grow It. I heard the rumors that this is like the new solution. I need a discount code. And please tie it to Mr. Grow It, because you were the one that let me know about this amazing invention. Wow, dude, that's sick.
They're expensive though. They're
makes sense.
I don't know. I mean, $1,600 I think is the price tag on them right now, plus shipping, or maybe there's free shipping. I don't remember. Just
saving one harvest though, I feel like you can make that money back. I've lost harvest to mold before. We're high humidity here, so I've lost harvest in the past, and I feel like saving one or two or hitting a perfect cure would pay itself off after like 2 or 3 harvests. No, but.
Yeah, I think it's worth the money, so that's why I spent the money on it.
Yeah, good call, bro. Okay, so before we move on, I just had one quick question, and we don't have to take too long on this. What was it like? Remember the first harvest you explained to me about, or the first time you were growing? What was your harvest process, curing, and drying process like back then compared to now? Like, what was your first time like drying and harvesting? What were you doing?
Oh man, I made my first successful grow. I just had it in a closet. I was hang drying, similar, cutting it at the base of the plant and hanging the whole plant upside down with a clothes hanger, for example, and just leaving it in the closet. And I wasn't using a humidifier. I wasn't temperature control, I wasn't doing any of that. And I was probably losing a ton of terpenes, but back then nobody really focused on that. At least my group of friends didn't really focus on that. We just let the plant dry to what it was going to dry. We didn't even have those hygrometers for the jars. So we weren't controlling whether or not the humidity was right. Probably had mold for all we know, in there. It's so much different now. We're doing so much. I'm doing so much more now in order to make sure that I don't get mold during the drying process and curing process, because it's so easy. I've had it happen before. It's so easy to get if your conditions aren't right.
Totally. And once you get it, it's hard to go back, meaning it's going to happen again and again on every harvest. So yeah, you make sure you tackle those problems at the very beginning. And really well said as far as those tips and tricks, because is it fair to say that your process, what you're doing right now for curing, harvesting, and is making the difference on the flavors compared to back in the day?
Yeah, I think there's a huge change. I mean, especially with conserving the terpenes. I think a lot of people make the mistake, and it took me many, many years to really realize this, is curing isn't the end. Storage comes after it. People say, "Oh, well, when you're storage, you're still curing." We're not gonna fight that battle. But when you're curing and storing it, a lot of people ignore the temperature, the storage temperature. Like, I spent so long just having stuff out in the open, it being 75, 80 degrees just in my room in the storage area. Sure, it would be in the dark, but still, like, the bud browns a lot quicker than the stuff in proper storage temperature. So a lot of people will do 60 degrees Fahrenheit, upwards of 68 degrees Fahrenheit as their storage temperature. And yeah, doing that, I actually have some bud here that you can clearly see the bud that was in a temperature-controlled environment versus a non-temperature controlled environment, a higher temperature than the temperature-controlled environment. You can clearly see browning. The browning of the bud happens within the first 2-3 months. You can see a clear difference. I think a lot of people, again, ignore the fact of their storage temperature, and their bud is deteriorating a lot quicker. And then as far as the RH, or moisture content, in my opinion, the more drier it is, the more harsher it is. I had somebody debate me on that one time, so I'm not going to say that for everybody's opinion, but I feel like it's the drier it is, the more crumbly it gets. It's just harsh on my throat, at least. So making sure that the RH is around that 62% has been a game changer for me over the years. This clip is brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrowIt15 to save on any of their products.